All right, now we're going to learn how to solve real-life problems from what we learned yesterday in solving multiple-step equations. Now we're going to apply this to real knowledge and to real-life applications, which is nice because a lot of times students wonder, when am I going to use this in real life? And here are some examples of how we would use solving equations and use that problem solving to solve real-world situations. So each one of these 6 problems are different, and I know a lot of you will be confused by that and be a little concerned that you're not sure if you understand, but the whole idea in math is not to solve one specific problem and memorize the steps. Basically, you're going to be put in a situation where you're going to see a word problem and you're going to have to just figure out what you would have to do to solve it. It's like a puzzle. So number 1 is going to be different than number 2, and number 2 is going to be different than number 3. But what I want you guys to do throughout this video is when I say stop the video and try the next one on your own, please follow those directions so you can try it without just copying everything that I'm doing. So number 1 says use the table to find the number of miles X you need to bike on Friday so that the mean number of miles biked per day is 5. So the first thing that we have to understand here is it's asking us for the mean number, and the mean is the average. So to solve this problem, we know that we want to have an average of 5 miles biked per day. We have 3.5 on Monday, 5.5 on Tuesday, 0 on Wednesday, Thursday 5, and Friday is what we're trying to figure out how many we would have to bike to make it to 5 miles per day. So to find the mean, we basically add all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. So Monday was 3.5, Tuesday is 5.5, Wednesday is 0, Thursday is 5, and Friday is what we're trying to figure out. So we would add all of these numbers up. There's 5 numbers, and we would divide this all by 5. And there's 5 numbers, and what we want to do is make sure that the average of these 5 numbers is equal to 5 as well. This is a little confusing because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, and we want the mean to also equal 5. So our equation would be the mean adding up all of those numbers divided by 5, and we want it to equal 5. Now this looks like a kind of a crazy equation, but we can make this a little bit simpler by adding all of these like terms, 3.5, 5.5, and 5. So if I take my calculator, add all these together, these combine to be 14. Since 0 is just not going to change anything, so this is 14 plus x over 5 is equal to 5. All right, now to solve this equation, right now this x is kind of bounded in the fraction. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the divided by 5 by multiplying both sides by 5. When I do that, these 5's cancel out. I'm left with 14 plus x. Sorry, my board's a little bit weird. That should be plus, a plus sign, is equal to 5 times 5 is 25. And the last thing I would do to solve for x here, since this is addition, is I would use subtraction. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 14. And 25 minus 14 is 11. So I'm going to get, on Friday, we'd have to ride 11 miles in order for the average of those to equal 5. One way to check your answer is by taking 3.5 and adding it to 5.5 plus 0 plus 5 plus 11, and then dividing that by 5, and you will get 5 as your answer because that is the average of those. Why don't you pause the video and try number 2, read it to yourself, try and figure out if you can figure out how to insert the numbers and solve, and then after you're done, press play, and then I'll go over it. Okay, let's go over number 2. The formula D equals 1/2 N plus 26 relates the nozzle pressure N in pounds per square inch of a fire hose and the maximum horizontal distance the water reaches, D, in feet. How much pressure is needed to reach a fire 50 feet away? So let me rewrite this equation we have here. D equals 1/2 N plus 26. And remember, N represents the pressure, and D represents the distance. We want to know how much pressure we would need to reach a fire that is a 50-foot distance away. So the first thing I'm going to do is realize that that 50 needs to be substituted in for one of the variables. And you need to decide, will it go in for D or will it go in for N? Well, I think that it will go in for D because D stands for distance and that's 50 feet. So I'm going to replace in 50 here. And now I can solve this equation. To solve this equation for N, which stands for the pressure, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 26 from both sides. When I do that, 50 minus 26 is 24. So I have 24 is equal to 1/2 times N. The last thing I'm going to do is cancel out this multiplication. So to cancel out multiplication, I divide. So I'm going to divide by a fraction, and that's okay. I'm going to divide by 1/2 on both sides. And when I do that, 24 divided by 1/2 is 48. So that is the answer, but again, when we have word problems, I like to put my answer with units to represent what it means. So how much pressure is needed? 48 pounds per square inch of pressure is the answer as well. And I got that from right here, that pressure is in pounds per square inch. Okay, let's try number 3 together. So your school's drama charges $4 per person for admission to a play. The club borrowed $400 to pay for costumes and props. After paying back the loan, the club made a profit of $100. How many people attended the play? So the first thing we would have to do here is create an equation. So when we're creating equations and they don't tell us what variables to use, you can use any variable you really want. I like to use X. So we know here that the school's drama charges $4 per person for admission. They borrowed $400 to pay for the props. And after paying back the loan, they had a profit of $100. We want to know how many people attended the play. So that's where it's going to help me decide what my variable is going to start, what it's going to represent. And in this case, it's going to be how many people attended the play. So X is going to be the number of people. So my board's messed up. That should say number of people. All right, so when I'm creating my equation, I know that in the end, they made a profit of $100. So I know my equation is going to be $100 is equal to all of the things they have here going on for this problem. So we know here that it's $4 per person for admission to the play. So if it's $4 per person and X represents the number of people, it would be 4 times X since it's $4 per person where X represents number of people. Now the last thing we have to include here is that they borrowed $400 to pay for costumes and props. So if they're borrowing it, and this equation is representing the amount of profit they make, borrowing $400 would be subtracting $400 from the amount of profit that you make from selling your tickets. So it would be minus $400 like this. So this would be the equation you would use to solve this problem. Once you have your equation, now you would just use the steps we learned yesterday to solve it. So here's the X I'm solving for. First thing I'm going to do is add 400 to both sides. 100 plus 400 is 500. So I have 500 equals 4x. I'm going to cancel out multiplication by dividing, and 500 divided by 4 is 125. That means 125 people attended the play. All right, notice all three of these equations were totally different. The situations were totally different. And that's what's going to happen with application problems. I want you to pause the video and try number 4, which again is totally different from the first 3. All right, let's go over number 4 together. So we have 96 feet of fencing to enclose a rectangular pen for your dog. To provide sufficient running space for your dog to exercise, the pen should be 3 times as long as it should be wide. Find the dimensions of the pen. All right, so we are looking to take this pen and enclose it with fencing. So sometimes when we have a problem like this, it's helpful to draw a picture of whatever we're creating to help us get an idea of what's going on here. So we are going to take a fence and we're going to enclose it by taking this length, this width, this length, and this width, and making a fenced-in yard for this dog. And we know we have a total of 96 feet. So that's the amount of fencing that we have. We also know that the pen should be 3 times as long as it is wide. So if this is, we'll just say that this is the width here. If this is the width, we know that the length is going to be 3 times whatever the width is. So we know up here, this length is going to be 3 times whatever the width is. That's what it says there in the description. So if we have the width on this left-hand side, this right-hand side is also a width. And if up here, this length is 3 times the width, down here is 3 times the width as well. And we have a total of 96 feet. What we would do here is look at the perimeter formula. The perimeter formula for a rectangle is basically add up all the sides or multiply one of the sides by 2 and add it to the product of 2 times the other side. But looking at this picture, because I have everything laid out, if I were to add the width, this one right here, plus this length, which is 3W, plus this one, which is W, plus this one, which is 3W, it's going to equal 96 feet in total. So this is the equation I can create if I'm just adding up all of the sides. Another way to do this would be multiply 2 times W plus 2 times 3W equals 96. It'll get you the same answer. Now it's time to combine like terms. We can add all of these together. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. This equals 8W. So all together we have 8W equals 96. Last step, we are going to divide both sides by 8. And we're going to get the width of this yard is going to be 12 feet. So I know here on this picture, the width is 12 feet. If I know the width is 12 feet, then to find the other length, I would have to multiply 12 times 3, since it's 3 times what the width is, and 12 times 3 is 36, so this would be 36, and this would be 36 feet. So the dimensions are 12 feet by 36 feet. And we could check this by adding 36 plus 36 plus 12, and it equals 96 total feet. Number 5 is definitely a difficult problem, so we're going to do this one together. So you order 2 tacos and a salad. That's important stuff. So 2 tacos and a salad. The salad costs $2.50, so we know automatically the salad's cost is $2.50. You pay 8% sales tax and leave a $3 tip. Your total is $13.80. How much does 1 taco cost? So I know that we're trying to figure out X is equal to the cost of a taco. And I know that I'm getting a salad, I'm paying sales tax, I'm giving a tip, I'm doing all of these things, and all together my total is equal to $13.80. So I'm going to put equal to $13.80, and then I'll insert all the other stuff I have here on the left-hand side. So we know that you order 2 tacos and a salad, all right? So I know that if X is the cost of the taco, 2 tacos and a salad would be 2X plus the cost of the salad. I did 2x because x represents the cost of one taco, and I bought 2 of them. So that would be 2x plus. This salad costs $2.50. All right, so there's my cost for my 2 tacos and my salad. Moving on to the next part, it says you pay 8% sales tax, and the 8% sales tax is going to be based on the amount of money you're paying for your food. So 8% sales tax, 8% in decimal form is 0.08. So you would multiply 0.08 by the cost of your tacos and your salad. And then we're going to take that, I'm running out of space, and we also are going to be leaving a $3 tip. So I'm running out of space here, but this should say 2x plus 250 plus 0.08 times 2x plus 250 plus the $3 tip is equal to $13.80. Now what this says is first up here, this says your 2 tacos, this is your salad. This here represents the sales tax you're going to be paying on the tacos and salad because you only pay sales tax on the food. Plus the $3 tip is equal to the total. So let's simplify this a little bit to make it easier to understand. Let's simplify by using the distributive property. So this is going to be 2x here plus 250. And then when I distribute 0.08 times 2x is 0.16x. And 0.08 times 250 is 0.2. So we got rid of the parentheses by using the distributive property, and we have this big long thing here. Now let's combine like terms. When I'm combining like terms, I'm going to add all the things together that are like terms, which are your x's and then your constant numbers. 2x plus 0.16x is 2.16x plus. I can add 250 plus 0.2 plus 3 together, and when I do that, I'm going to get 5.7. All right, now we have an equation that obviously has decimals, but it's easier to deal with. To solve this, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 5.7. When I do 1380 minus 5.7, I'm going to get 2.16x is equal to 8.1. And when I'm solving this, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. I'm going to divide by 2.16, and I'm going to get x equals the cost of one taco is $3.75. And we could always check our answer by taking 375, multiplying it by 2, add that with the amount of the salad, which is $2.50, and then take the sales tax of that together. So you could take 0.08 and multiply it by the cost of 2 tacos with the salad included as well. And then add the total tip, and altogether you will have your final answer of $13.80. That was definitely a hard one though. Why don't you pause the video and try the last one on your own? All right, let's go over the last one together. The difference. Difference means subtract. So the difference of 3 times a number and 4. So 3 times a number, I'm just going to use x for that number, 3x and 4. So 3x minus 4 is equal to negative 19. What is the number? So when I'm creating these equations, you're basically just taking like the word phrases that we learned a couple of weeks ago and creating them into an equation or an algebraic expression. So we have here 3x minus 4 equals negative 19. All right, to solve this equation, I don't know why I put that minus sign so long, I'm going to first add 4 to both sides. When I add 4 to both sides, I have 3x is equal to negative 15. Last thing I'm going to do is divide by 3, and I'm going to get x is equal to negative 5. So the number is negative 5. If the difference of 3 times the number and 4 is negative 19, the number is negative 5. Okay, great. So now we just practice solving real-world situations and real-world applications. The next thing we're going to do is practice some more word problems, but the answers will have multiple choice answers, kind of like what you'll see in the Keystone. So we'll work on that next.